We often think that love alone is enough to sustain a relationship. But what happens when the physical closeness that once bonded you begins to fade? When the shared moments of affection, the sparks of desire, and the comfort of touch become scarce or absent? It challenges not just your body, but your heart and mind too. In many ways, the experience of being in a sex-starved relationship uncovers a silent struggle, a tension between what is felt emotionally and what is sought physically. It forces us to face difficult truths about intimacy, connection, and the expectations we place on love. Sexual desire is often viewed through a simplified lens, a natural, effortless expression of affection in romantic partnerships. Yet this view misses the complexity of human sexuality, especially over long-term relationships. Desire is not static. It fluctuates with time, health, stress, and emotional dynamics. Physical intimacy is more than a biological impulse. It is a language of closeness, vulnerability, and mutual recognition. When this language falters, it can leave partners feeling isolated, misunderstood, or even rejected. The pain of a sex-starved relationship lies not only in what is physically missing, but in the emotional distance that absence cultivates. It is important to remember that sexual fulfillment is a significant part of partnership, but it is often neglected in conversations about love and commitment. Society tends to emphasize emotional compatibility, shared values, or financial stability as pillars of a successful relationship, while intimacy quietly recedes into the background. The consequence is a disconnect between what partners need and what they can safely express. This silence can create a fertile ground for assumptions, resentment, or shame, making the situation even harder to address openly and constructively. What causes a relationship to become sex-starved? The reasons are varied and often intertwined. Stress, whether from work, health, or family demands, can profoundly affect libido. Communication breakdowns may create fears of judgment or rejection, discouraging one or both partners from initiating intimacy. Sometimes, mismatched desires appear. One partner's appetite for closeness is not mirrored by the other's, fueling feelings of inadequacy or frustration. Beyond these surface factors, deeper emotional disconnects can take hold. Unresolved conflicts, lost trust, or unmet emotional needs that sap the energy and warmth previously shared. This complexity often leads to a spiral of silence. When desire fades, instead of opening up, partners may withdraw or become defensive. Silence breeds misconceptions, and assumptions fill the gaps. Perhaps one partner believes the other is no longer attracted, or worse, has found intimacy elsewhere. These unspoken fears and insecurities can form an invisible wall that keeps partners apart, emotionally, even when they live under the same roof. Myths and misunderstandings about sexual satisfaction often cloud this reality. There is a common misconception that if two people truly love each other, their sexual connection will naturally endure or reignite without effort. But this romantic absolutism overlooks the work and intention required to maintain or rekindle desire. Mutual respect and honest communication are not optional extras. They form the foundation on which physical intimacy can thrive. It is not enough to want intimacy if the way it is approached ignores the feelings and boundaries of either partner. Another widespread myth is that sexual desire should always diminish with age, or that couples who experience a decline simply have normal or expected problems. While it's true, libido changes over time, sexual intimacy need not disappear unless consciously neglected. The tendency to normalize the absence of sex as inevitable may prevent couples from seeking solutions or having honest conversations about their needs and frustrations. From a psychological perspective, sexuality is intertwined with identity, vulnerability, and power dynamics. Philosopher Michel Foucault reminded us that sexuality cannot be separated from the social and cultural frameworks within which it operates. Our desires are shaped, suppressed, or encouraged by the norms we internalize. This means that the silence surrounding sex-starved relationships is not accidental. It is a product of social taboos and expectations that leave many feeling ashamed or confused about their desires. Recognizing this can be liberating, encouraging us to dismantle unhelpful cultural scripts and create conversations grounded in empathy and truth. Therapists specializing in relationships and sexuality often emphasize that intimacy problems are rarely about sex alone. They are reflections of broader relational dynamics. Emotional disconnection, stress, unresolved conflicts, or past traumas can all affect desire. When emotional safety erodes, so too does willingness to be vulnerable physically. Understanding this connection can help partners shift focus from blame to curiosity. What might we learn about ourselves and each other from this silence? How can we restore not just physical closeness, but emotional warmth that sustains it? Addressing a sex-starved relationship calls for slow and deliberate effort that centers both partners' emotional needs and boundaries. It requires self-awareness and vulnerability. It means courageously facing discomfort, expressing fears and hopes without defensiveness or shame. These conversations are rarely easy. They touch on personal insecurities and risks of rejection. Yet, they are necessary if the relationship is to heal, evolve, or even survive. Denial, avoidance, or blaming can deepen the rift, while honest dialogue can open pathways toward understanding, compromise, or healing. It is also important to acknowledge that a sex-starved relationship doesn't always mean the relationship is failing. Sometimes, even absent physical intimacy, emotional bonds remain strong and meaningful. Other times, the diminished physical connection reveals truths that were previously overlooked, indicating a need for change, whether that is through therapy, renewed efforts, or, in some cases, parting ways. Loving someone means honoring their needs as much as your own, and that includes the need for physical closeness. You might wonder how to begin these difficult conversations. The key is to approach them with empathy and curiosity, listening without judgment, expressing needs without accusation. It may help to start by sharing personal feelings rather than attributing blame. For example, "I've been feeling lonely and disconnected lately," opens the door. Encouraging your partner to share their experience, fears, and desires can help both sides better understand unspoken barriers. Another practical step couples often find useful is to redefine what intimacy means to them. Intimacy is not all or nothing. It includes touching, holding, shared experiences, emotional support, and yes, sex. Expanding the definition can allow couples to reconnect in smaller ways that rebuild trust and comfort. Small acts of physical affection, holding hands, gentle massages, sitting close, can be gentle bridges to deeper connection. Philosophers like Erich Fromm have written about love as an active practice rather than a passive feeling, something to be cultivated with patience and attention. Fromm emphasized that love involves knowledge, care, responsibility, respect, and commitment. Applying this lens, caring for the sexual aspect of a relationship requires intention and effort, alongside emotional care. It's not enough to hope passion will return. It must be nurtured, understood, and communicated. It is also worth recognizing the role of individual well-being in sexual health. Factors like mental health, sleep quality, medical conditions, and medications can reduce libido and physical ability to engage intimately. Taking time to attend to your own health and encouraging your partner to do the same is an act of love that benefits the relationship as a whole. Sometimes seeking professional help, whether medical or therapeutic, is a vital step to remove barriers to a fulfilling sex life. Cultural and gender expectations add layers of complexity. Men may feel pressure to be always ready and virile. Women may feel judged for desiring or declining sex. These stereotypes restrict honest communication and foster shame. Challenging these narratives together, recognizing that desire is fluid and personal, can free couples from imagined norms and open opportunities for authentic connection. When you listen to yourself and your partner with compassion, you learn to distinguish between physical desire and emotional safety, between habit and longing, between obligation and genuine connection. A sex-starved relationship calls us to recognize these distinctions and to value the whole person, mind, body, and heart. In the silence or absence of physical intimacy, some may experience grief, loss, or confusion. These feelings are natural and deserve acknowledgement. By facing them openly, partners can move from isolation toward understanding and empathy. Sometimes the best expressions of love come through accepting each other's limits and needs without pressure or shame. Finally, consider this. Restoring intimacy is rarely a linear process or a quick fix. It involves patience, trial, error, and ongoing communication. Sometimes it means reimagining the relationship or oneself. Other times it means learning to let go with grace. Whatever path unfolds, the commitment to honesty, respect, and care remains the heart of true intimacy. So I invite you to reflect deeply on your own experience with intimacy. How do you relate to desire, connection, and vulnerability? How might you and your partner create space for honest dialogue and renewed closeness? Remember, sexuality is not a solitary act, but a shared language. When spoken with kindness and courage, it has the power to heal, transform, and unite rather than divide. Love, in its fullest sense, honors not only the feelings we hold, but the realities we live. And sometimes, the greatest act of love is the willingness to meet those realities with openness, empathy, and care, rekindling not just passion, but profound companionship, grounded in respect and truth.